No! No!
And now, the stars of 4Kids will sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light
what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming,
And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
gave proof through the night
that our flag was still there.
Oh, say does that star-spangled
Banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Happy 4th of July from all of us at 4Kids TV.
Here's that rainy day they told me about, and I laughed at the thought.
In this big game that we play, life, it's not what you hope for, it's not what you deserve, it's what you take. I'm Frank T.J. Mackey, a master of the muffin, and author of the Seduce and Destroy system, now available to you on audio and video cassette. Seduce and Destroy will teach you the techniques to have any hard-body blonde just dripping to wet your dock.
You know, I've rode roller coasters from California to Alabama, but I still haven't found a ride that could rock my shit. Whee!
Mother, there is no other like mother, so treat her right. Mother, I always love her, my mother, so treat her right, treat her right.
Take cover!
Those soldiers move faster than I expected.
Welcome to the Bombad Cast. What's going on, Bombad fam? Welcome to the Bombad Cast. If it's your first time here, we go live every Thursday at 8 p.m. And for the next 6 weeks, I believe, maybe even 7 weeks, we are covering Star Wars Skeleton Crew with our show, The Search for Fuzzball, featuring Jerry and myself, Scotty J-Ro, and today and this evening, Joe Organa and M, the wonderful M. Love that woman. Anyway, that being said, super excited to have all of you here. We've got some new faces in the chat. Paul, glad to hear. Good. We got to see all the Organas. Take the Organas out, y'all. We got to see them Organas. We got to whip them out, make sure they're all there for us and they're all present. Of course, we've got some other wonderful, I guess you would call them reoccurring visitors. Brian Halfmoth. Let me get this off the screen. You can't even see the speaker. We're not behind some sort of camera the entire time. No, we're here. We're real people. We're captains of our vessels, right? And that's why I'm here hanging out. We've got Brian. We've got Cooper. Nathan, glad to have you, Nathan. You might have found us. We were recently on Force Center, and I was on Ken's call-in show a few moments ago. We'll be on Star Wars Explained next week, so we've been having a pretty good run with some great people. We've of course got Eli here, Andy here. Andy's going to be coming on next week too. Can't wait for that. Brennan, this is a good group. Yes, Jared, love you. Glad to have you here. Eli, this is fantastic. I think we found Fuzzball, baby! Jerry! We found him!
I am the Burger King! The Burger King has returned, and I demand a 15 toy tie-in with my restaurant establishment.
The Burger King, y'all, he's here.
Fuzzball! I want to see a calico Fuzzball. I want to see a ragdoll Fuzzball. I want to see every type of cat as a Fuzzball in my healthy kids meals.
Good, healthy. I like it. That's healthy. A beautiful take.
They have clear grease.
Good. Fantastic. So we're searching for Fuzzball. We apparently found Fuzzball. For those that don't know, I put out a video last week on why Fuzzball could change Star Wars forever. If you haven't watched it, it's about a 25-minute documentary on why I believe Fuzzball is way more important than just this small cameo. I'm still convinced of this. I will go into my theory later. Joe said, save the load for later, honey. Blow it all on stream. And I said, okay, Joe, I'll do that for you. Beautiful. And of course, there's a lot of, and this one graphic alone, you'll see what we get into. I know it's crazy. Within the first 2 episodes, that bottom left character, Teak, his species shows up, of course, in Skeleton Crew already. And the acrobatics circus team from the holiday special also makes an appearance. So 3 out of the, I think I have 14 predictions have all been proven correct in my video, why Fuzzball could change Star Wars forever. So I wouldn't say I'm a soothsayer, but I'm definitely saying some truths.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You know, what's a captain to a king? What's a king to an Organa? What's an Organa to a Raylo Diva?
That actually flows just like the song. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, Cooper, that's beautiful.
Listen, guys, welcome to the last episode of The Search for Fuzzball. We found him. We found them. They're there. They're in.
Right there. Fuzzball made it. How beautiful is that? Well, Jerry, you froze for some reason.
We're going to talk about how to properly shoehorn your foot into a shoe.
That's right. Good. Perfect. It fits. We are joined by two people that I love deeply. And before we bring Em on, I got to bring Joe on real quick because Joe had the privilege of being on our huge Acolyte coverage for the whole entire summer. And I will say, we got to address the Acolyte at the very beginning of this. Joe, sweet baby angel, I love you. Bringing you in. I got to get a clip for you, Joe. There's got to be a clip for my sweet Joe. Where's my my favorite little short? We'll do this.
Wanna have you hear me? I wanna have you hear me say it.
Oh, he's so hot. Watch him dance.
Sexy Dave Filoni that just popped in here.
That was incredible. God. So sorry. I'm on my phone. I'm just checking my Hawk Tuah coin real fast. I just want to see how it's doing.
Okay.
Gosh, I'm really.
How are we doing?
Put a lot into it, so I'm hoping for no disappointment. Okay.
Joe, do us a favor. There's one thing that Joe does every Bombad cast that for some reason goes viral the next day. Joe, if you can, do one of these for me, and let's see some pit. And I'm gonna get a screenshot. And like Jerry smile, because every time this, let's see a little bit more nip, just a little bit more. Okay, yes. So I'll screenshot it later because every time this happens, it goes viral on Blue Sky, on Twitter, it just goes viral. So thank you for that, Joe.
You're welcome.
Joe,
hi.
You said that it was an attack on your very culture.
It was an
that the
attack on my
Acos canceled.
people. It was an attack on my people. It was an attack on my family. It was a personal attack.
Let's bring can we bring M in because she'll also weigh on this. M, well, wonderful M. M, let's hear your thoughts on this. Hold on, real quick.
Hi, friends.
How was it? How was the Acolytes cancellation an attack on you personally, Joe and M? I gotta hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it was homophobic.
It was. Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying what we were all thinking.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Why could they do this to us?
It was a personal attack on us. It was a very queer show, especially for the Star Wars universe. And it felt like they slapped me in the face, they pulled down my pants, and they blew me a kiss. It was not good.
No. It was terrible. It was an utter tragedy. It's a huge injustice. And I think we should set up like a picket line outside of every con.
I think so too.
Oh yeah, and racist.
Yep.
Misogynistic, homophobic,
Absolutely.
everything.
All the bad things.
It was a hate crime.
It was a hate
Every
crime.
one of the is.
It was a
Every possible
cultural hate crime.
It was a general hate crime, just hate crimes on everyone. It was really because besides the fact that it was a very culturally diverse show, it was just a very good show. Incredible writing, a really unique storyline for Star Wars, and they got rid of it. And it's so unfair, and it had to do with all the backlash online. And unfortunately, that backlash, I think, did a lot of damage to the general population seeing the show. So it was really sad.
I spent all of September reading social media posts of people going, I finally watched The Acolyte and it's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't understand why.
Whoa.
I let myself be influenced out of watching it when it was first released.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing because so this will be a preamble for when we talk about Skeleton Crew the next 5 minutes. But we have all obviously we watch everything the night it comes out. We're all super fans of it. We watch our friends' videos on it. We covered it ourselves. There's a lot of things that go into what we do as creators that love and watch this stuff, and honor Star Wars in every way that it can be done. But the one thing I will say too is when it was canceled in August, September, I think a lot of us felt a pretty intense gut punch, and it was the first time a Star Wars show had been publicly remarked as canceled by the trades, whereas other shows like Book of Boba Fett kind of fade out, kind of teeter out. You know what I mean? And that's okay. They didn't say it was canceled. They just didn't renew the contracts. Everyone involved in that project. So this being canceled, and then you have a show about children coming up next. I think all of us were genuinely terrified. Like I just was like. If a fandom, aside of the fandom, has that loud of a voice that could potentially get a show canceled based on and it's not based on story. The story was phenomenal. It's not based on anything else other than people purposely doing this.
Yes.
Just to that. Like you got Jared here saying being paid to not understand media on purpose is a hell of a drug. I mean, it is a lot of those like pushers, because my conservative ass father, who is a boomer, who is like in his 60s, I said I watched The Acolyte. He loved that show. So it's not some it's these people telling them what to
Did Jerry freeze for y'all? No, Jerry, you
Not for me.
froze.
He's making a really good point.
You froze for a second, Jerry. You know what happened?
I'm just leaving. I'm just gonna leave and come back and see if it's better. Okay,
that's fine.
But I don't know if I'm here for a second. The point I was just trying to make is just like I know that like it's not just like that kind of like it is like they are like fomenting some kind of that is dangerous to a lot of people and stuff like that. And so Yeah, it's really fucking good. And like I said, my boomer dad loved it too. So
yeah. It has nothing to do with age, has nothing to do with political opinions, has nothing to do with any of that. It's a great show, regardless of any of those things stated. And like, look, and Jared makes a great point. And look, there's only been one time so far on record where a creator of a show has been like, I do not condone the things happening. And that was Ewan McGregor in a car, literally directly after Celebration. That him and I were both at. And like, it was the next day, I'm pretty sure. And like, how disheartening is that it took an executive producer to say that? And I love Lucasfilm and I love what they've been putting out. I have friends that work there, but it's very disappointing when they can't address the true elephant in the room, you know, like the true problem. And it's this, like, say it, you know, like, I don't know. I don't know if you all want to talk about that or feel any strong way about it, because I sure do.
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, because on the one hand, like, I have seen for myself how lucrative and popular niche stuff can be. You know, like, we're in this time where, you know, like, we've already had this revolution where like nerd stuff is cool.
Exactly.
You know, like, cool people watch anime, cool people are into Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, so all of this stuff that used to just kind of be the domain of like losers, whatever, you know, is now something that people aren't ashamed to participate in culturally. And so you have all these fandoms, plus, you know, with the internet and everything, people find their niches, and then you get these like huge communities of people that all pull together to support different IPs, right? So you would think that there's like, consumer wise, there's enough people out there to sustain almost any project, because they can all find each other, they can all, you know, engage with fandom. I mean, look at the people who bought an ad in Times Square.
Oh, that was amazing.
About the Acolyte. Like, that's not chump change. You know, like, that is a lucrative fan base. And yet for some reason their money's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like I said, I feel like we're at this weird time where like this demographic of like, you know, whatever 19 to 44-year-old white guys is seen as this really important, precious consumer base that you absolutely have to capture in order to have a lucrative project. But it's like this idea is just so ingrained that it caused a whole TV project to get killed. And yet when I look around in the real world, I see lots of queer people, people of color, queer people of color, you know, women, trans people, everybody is spending money on stuff that interests them.
Yeah.
So it's like, what, like, is our dollar not worth the same? I just don't get it. I don't understand what's happening in the minds of the people that make these business decisions.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's funny because half the people I know that worked that place loved that show, and the creator of that show still, and I think it's a contractual thing, hasn't said a word about it. Leslie Headland had
100%. It's
doing press so much leading up to with friends of ours, right? And like literally, boom, the show comes out. It's amazing, and they're still doing press. And then the second it got canceled, like, there has been nothing except for other like assistant directors that can post about it, saying how disappointed they are and the fact that it was canceled. And we know, and I know for a fact it wasn't canceled by Lucasfilm, it was canceled by Disney, because they don't see it the same way as Lucasfilm does. I need to bring Jerry back in real quick, and then you know what, we're kind of stewing on the negative. Let's bring the vibes back to the positive in a moment. Jerry, how are you doing? Is the internet better for you?
I am sure hoping so. But yeah, fuck all the haters. Acolyte was amazing. Let people just live and things.
Okay, but still, if we're gonna wrap this up, I just have to say homophobia bad.
Yes, absolutely.
Clearly,
yes, that's what I was trying to say, but that was much better. Yes, just go fuck off. Like, I don't know, go drink a Mai Tai or something on a beach. I don't know, like, you know,
No
Chill
Janina
out.
Carina and no
No.
TFM welcomed. We know that. Joe knows a thing or two about that.
Won't allow it. Won't allow it.
Well, so okay, this show, for those who don't remember, it had been announced, I think, in the trades before, but we got the official confirmation at Jerry and I were all at this Star Wars Celebration 2022 in Anaheim. We only gotten one very brief description, and it was about these kids going on an adventure that they weren't expecting to go on. We knew nothing else with the context. We know Jude Law was one of the main characters in it, and of course, we knew that it was a story that took time in the Mando era. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, all that being said, when it was announced, and it was announced as an Amblin Spielberg-esque style show, what were all your thoughts? This is years ago. This is almost 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. What were our thoughts originally? Because for me, I was excited regardless. New show, heavy, features children, and they're all middle school age. Like, that's who I work with on a daily basis, kids. So I don't know about y'all. Where were we at? Where were you at mentally, Joe?
I mean, I was excited. I'm always excited when Star Wars announces a new project, especially a live action project. I just get hyped. I'm the type of fan who wants anything. I'm excited for anything. I'm very open-minded to any kind of story or any sort of like format. I'm just pumped. And I think this show specifically had very little details to me. I didn't hear too much about it, so I was pumped. I figured I think I remember people talking about it like it was Stranger Things but in space, Star Wars-y. And to me that sounded fun. I was like, let's see where this goes. I'm excited. That's all I really remembering.
Good thing you're cute.
Yeah, I know.
I know, that's very well said. Because I agree with you. There's a hype that goes into Stranger Things in space, and that's one of the biggest shows of all time in the last 10 years, right? And it might not be everyone's bread and butter, but for me as a guy who loves the 80s, I mean that show is it. And if you could channel that energy in a Star Wars project, I mean, who would have thought we'd get that ever? And literally here we are. And what about you?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be for me, but I did think it was a great idea to have a Star Wars show where the main cast was kids, because as has this been demonstrated on Monday evening, that nostalgia is so powerful and it has such broad appeal. And, I feel like this is a great opportunity for them to just give the audience what they want. I mean, this is such wish fulfillment, this show. I was, when the concept of it was being explained, that was what I thought. I was like, this is a great potential for wish fulfillment. And yeah, I was very glad to see that play out.
Mm-hmm. And it played out very well so far. We're only 2 episodes in. Jerry, what about you, dude?
I mean, I'm always up for the Amblin vibes because one of my favorite movies still and growing up was E.T. And just any show when I grew up, I got my first job at a movie theater. JJ put out Super 8, which is one of my favorite films. I love that film. And then again, Stranger Things. I'm the patsy for that. They were aiming at me when they made that show, and just like having that kind of vibe in a Star Wars show, it seemed like the perfect marriage because Lucas and Spielberg have been they've been friends for a long time, and I mean they work together on Indy and all that, and he's given there's rumors of what he has added to Star Wars, Spielberg's added to Star Wars and things like that, but to truly give that that homage to Spielberg and just to that Spielbergian, that neighborhood, that it feels like you are watching E.T.
Dude, yes.
And I love it. And I thought it fit. I know a lot of people were like, oh, this is too much. This is too normal looking. But I for what they're setting up, I like it because it's too normal on purpose. And I'm excited for it. And also something that really, again, the real target audience for this show, my 7-year-old daughter, this is the first Star Wars show where she was laughing the whole time. She loved Neil and the kids and stuff like that. She was like actively engaged. She had a theory. Her first like theory, it was about the dad. Like, I think the dad might work for the bad guy, but he doesn't know, kind of a thing. And it's, you know, it's like, and that's like, it's the perfect show for, you know, I mean, of course Star Wars is for kids. It's always been for kids. But just like, you know, I mean, this is like, it's not just the nostalgia for like the old guys like me and like, you know, like a lot of us and stuff. Like it really, and every Star Wars show does that. But that's the thing that's getting me the most and stuff. And again, I had to back out because of my internet and stuff. But like, you know, we have to protect these kids who are in the show at all costs.
Sure, look,
because people are crazy. But I mean, just like we have to preserve it too for these kids, so they don't see adults, you know, yelling at. And my kid doesn't go on the internet anyway. She's not going to go on there for a long time, probably. So hopefully, but yeah, you know, we gotta like, this is a very important show. This is a very important show, and yeah, I'm loving it.
So I was going to say this next. So like, I've seen a bunch of people like, and I'm not going to call anybody out, not my job here, but they're like, this is Gen X's show. And I'm like, sure, maybe it is. Maybe you could perceive it that way. But then I watch, you know, I hear about your daughter's reaction, Jerry. I have a reaction as a teacher who teaches these kind of this exact age of kid. And I'm like, oh my God, like they've nailed it. Like they've nailed every little exchange of dialogue, you know, keepsies, all of that, right? Or like the humor that this show has with Neil being kind of a goofy guy and he's like second in command. He knows it kind of attitude, like Jedi 1, Jedi 2. Like there's
that Jedi 2 was phenomenal, by the way. That was a phenomenal beat. What was mine going to be? Oh, I know, Jedi 2.
Jedi 2. See,
so good.
My favorite Neil line, and we'll get to Neil in a moment, is that's genius. Because he said he was going to claim, what did he say? He was going to claim
he's going to give keepsies or claimsies when they go
inside.
Yeah, when they get inside of it.
That's genius. I was like, that is, I've had that. Or when they jump down and he's holding the rope and they think that his weight will hold it.
Oh my God. I laughed so hard. Be careful. Well, what I really laughed at too was when he goes, be careful of rope burn. Right.
Right. Yeah. Man, so just the energy of this whole show for me personally has been perfect. It is a different step in terms of from Acolyte. It's a different step in terms of Andor, but we're not going to take anything that we've watched previously and pin it against this show or pin this show against other shows. There is no way you can do that with Star Wars, because just like George showed us, Star Wars can be Empire Strikes Back, as intense as that movie is, or it can be The Phantom Menace, where the EOP farts right in Jar Jar's face and he smells it. It's everything it wants to be and everything that it can be, just like humanity. And I love that so far all the reviews are like, oh, this is excellent. This is what we're wanting, you know? And yeah, I don't know. I'm loving it. I love the opening. I have the opening crawl in the show notes. I don't know who has if the show notes pulled up. Joe, I want to hear you read the opening crawl. Do you have them or no? It's okay if you don't. It's okay if you don't.
We put them on the spot, man.
Yeah. I didn't know if you had them pulled up. I just didn't know.
I'm so
it's
sorry.
Okay. No, Jerry, do you have it? I can read it if no one has it.
Hell no. No, go for it. You're the only one who has the show notes pulled up. No one pays attention to those.
That's okay.
Scotty, did you forget girls can read?
I just looked at myself.
I was gonna say M definitely has it pulled up because I know M. I know M works. And if you want to read it, I want to hear you read this. It's such a great opening crawl. Proto crawl.
Since the fall of the Empire, the New Republic has maintained order. And yet, remote hyperspace routes are increasingly plagued by piracy. These pirates boldly brand their armored hulls as a sign to all ships: surrender or die.
Sexy.
Scary.
Sexy. I love how they did it though. What'd y'all think of that opening? That was bad.
I wasn't expecting that at all. So it was it really got you into this. You know what I liked about it? I think because it felt so, the first episode specifically felt so maybe not traditional Star Wars, but that opening bit really did. So it like really hits you over the head with Star Wars, and then it takes you to a completely different place. and then it like sets you to be thrown off by the society that we're introduced to. I thought it was really clever.
Oh, I
It was
love
like
that show.
a good marriage. The beginning was a very good marriage, I think, of Star Wars, but also like it had that. I want to say the easy way in is to say Pirates of the Caribbean feel, which it does kind of, but it had more of that Treasure Island and that Treasure Island feel. It has like that like very classic pirate feel, which we've kind of gotten, but not to this extent yet. Like they are really leaning into the pirates, and I love it. And I just want to real quick, Andy, don't worry. I'm not going to skip talking about Brutus.
No, we'll look at Brutus. We'll talk about Brutus. Look, too, another thing I want to say about that is that when that opening happens, like we've always heard about pirates. Like, you know what I mean? Like we heard Han was a pirate, you know, he was a spice runner and he was a pirate type. And like Hondo we got all that in the Clone Wars. Seeing it in Clone Wars is one thing, but to finally see it manifest in live action is just bliss, you know, and like have it parallel A New Hope in a very different way, a much more ragtag, brutal way, you know. And it's funny, so far I was thinking like, you know, I don't know if I can show that many Star Wars projects, like if I'm out of school one day, like if I'm out as a teacher, you know, I need to give him a substitute assignment. I think I could show Acolyte. I don't know, whoa, not Acolyte. No, definitely not Acolyte. Sorry. Whoops, Freudian slip. I can definitely show Skeleton.
We want more
Crew.
Acolyte, yeah.
Yes, we want more of it, but I don't think I can show little kids Acolyte just yet. But no, Skeleton Crew, like even that opening, as intense as it is, like it draws you in instantly. You're so right. Completely
Yeah, but
lost.
the first thing I thought was like, this is very violent for a children's show.
Yes. Yes.
It is.
But to me,
I mean, you got
sets up
when Ishi Tib gets like shot right in the eye.
Yeah.
Dude, it's to me, it sets up like this is not a force to be reckoned with. We've always seen like Hondo's kind of a goofy guy and his pirates are pretty intense, but like you started off and they're attached into the whole and they're killing this whole group of people just for one single credit. Oh God, that's got to be Jod, by the way, right? Silvo, Captain Silvo.
Oh, 100% that's Jod. Yeah.
He's Long Jod Silvo.
Yeah.
Right. That's not me. That is a friend of the show, Adam Frazier, was did a tweet about that and stuff like that, because we didn't know the Silvo name until the beginning right there, right?
Yeah, no, we
Captain
didn't.
Silvo. So
Long Jod Silvo. That's excellent. I did not even make that connection. That's beautiful. Adam, great guy. Yeah, no, I thought the opening was awesome. Anything from the first episode that y'all wanted to bring up that kind of stood out to y'all? I wrote a big thread on Twitter, on Blue Sky about it, but I'll wax poetic later. Did anyone want to bring up anything from that first episode that like just?
I mean, in general.
Yeah, sure.
Of the whole episode.
Yeah, I mean, was there like one moment?
So much. I mean, the entire thing was very off-centering to me. Does that make sense? The whole first episode. It felt very like the kids are kind of oblivious to this deeper, darker thing that's happening around them to me. And like, that was the most interesting part of the first episode to me, was seeing like the way they interacted with the adults and to see the way the adults were acting while the kids were being typical kids and like having these like kind of fun, you know, sort of everyday adventures with school and everything. But then to like see this sort of like weird corporate dark energy happening with the adults was very interesting to me. So I was really excited to explore more of that, and like having the kids assigned to like job roles at such a young age was like very like capitalist agenda feeling, and so that sort of like corporate spy, I don't know, thing, dark side horror aspect, I don't know, was cool.
It's very different. We've never gotten that, honestly.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Got all those what are the camera headed droids as well that are very ominous.
Yeah,
very ominous feeling. Kind of remind me in the second episode, the beginning when they're walking in the woods. It reminds me of the guys looking for ET.
Yes. Like, who do they answer to? You know what I mean? Like, what is their role?
Somebody's watching. Somebody's watching that we don't know yet.
Yeah, I can't wait. It might be like the Matrix, where they've always been watching, and I don't know. There's like a predestination thing. You never know. It could be that. Em, any moment that stood out to you?
Yes, immediately. The first time we see Neil, he says almost the exact same thing that Darth Vader says to Obi-Wan in an
Oh, I didn't
Yeah, he
realize
does.
that.
Yeah, when he greets Wim, he says, "You should not have come here." The line is, "You should not have come back," but still, it's
Mhm.
close enough. Like when he
Mhm.
started talking, when he said, "You should not have come," I was like, and it made me wonder if maybe, like, I was like, do they show these kids like hollows of like historical things that have happened? Or are they like indoctrinating them in some way? Like right away, I was like, why does Neil know this story?
I mean, Wim is constantly reading those Jedi Hollow novels, so it's
Yes.
possible. Maybe there's like fairy tales kind of associated with these stories of the great Jedi Luke Skywalker. Who knows?
Well, yeah, and that's there's one thing to be addressed too with all of this. Obviously, and I see it right here. Nathan, thanks for joining again, Nathan. Nathan brings up a good point. Like, what is going on with this planet? And obviously, we find out in the second episode that it is a treasure planet, or it's a planet of like great desire to these pirates. They can't believe it. There's old credits there. Everything seems, and I brought this up with Jerry in private. Everything seems a little bit like Walt Disney's dream for Epcot. For those that don't know, Walt Disney's original dream for Epcot is the city of the future. And the idea that everything is centralized and everything on the outside of this city is like the suburban areas, and then you don't need to go past that. Everything you do is inside the city. So you notice every single road is almost like a web where it all expands out, and then everything flows into the middle. And there's one very interesting part where everything's on tracks. Like they don't even have the freedom to decide, and in an ideal society, that sounds pretty awesome. Like, oh, there will be no wrecks because this system is set up this way. I watched the buses. When the buses pull up to each other, they pull it up with like this much space in between them. I looked at that. I'm like, oh, there's some precision. There's some really interesting, treasure. Whoa, very interesting. I read treasure right there. There was very interesting, like engineering like concepts going into this, and everything being autonomous without freedom, and these people all being employed by what do they call it, the greater good or something
The great
ridiculous.
work.
The great work.
We're doing the great work.
Yeah,
High
which,
Republic
Patty,
reference.
if you read books, I don't know. There's these books called the High Republic. They're very good. They've got great works in them. Anyway,
so I know.
Here's the thing that I found interesting is that so we get this idea that At-Adin is self-contained. It's protected by this barrier that keeps things out and keeps everyone else in. And yet the greater galaxy thinks of it as a treasure planet. So if this planet was designed to be some kind of fail-safe by Palpatine, who had like a million plans going on all at the same time, and his backups had backups, or if it's some kind of sinister thing, why would you name it after something that is known to be treasure and therefore attract the attention of people who might try to come to it?
Oh, it's so interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like as soon as they start talking in the port about how At-Adin is some legendary treasure planet, I'm like, so if you had some kind of scheme going, why would you name it after something that is highly sought after in legend?
Unless the legend existed and then Palpatine found it, or whoever found it, and then they built this whole system to keep it hidden.
It's very possible.
It's so this is the undertone of the whole show that I don't think any of us was expecting. Honest to God, I think we all went in knowing it was an ambulant thing, but just like Stranger Things, there's something going on in that Hawkins lab. You know what I mean? That's what got me so interested in that show, because I'm like, this could happen in America in the 80s. They could be doing some weird, Project MK Ultra stuff, and we don't even know it. It's the government doing these experiments. Whereas now in this story, it's the society functions in a way that none of us quite understand yet, and it's not going to be revealed. And it's probably going to be the crux of the show, And like, look, I know Peter Griffin, I'm not quite sure. I didn't know Peter Griffin was in the chat, but Peter Griffin's like it could play into the larger narrative of Palpatine and his return, or the Shadow Council, which we saw in Mando season 3, episode 7. Like and in that same episode, mind you, that's the same one we had the Lizzo and Jack Black planet, where it is autonomy. It is the planet functioning in a way without, it has nothing but peace, but it's all droid ran, and the droids revolted, then you would see that be problematic. So like, I don't know. Super good subtext there. The character introductions were, I think, some of the best, like comparable to Rey for me. Just like sets you up instantly. The shot of Wim in his bed, and it slowly pans up on him, and he's playing with the toys. I'm like, wow. Here, literally, I got my Grand Inquisitor figure like right here. Like this is it. You know what I mean? And they're like stationary toys that didn't flex or move, just like this little guy. Like it's. I don't know. I love that introduction. What was everyone's favorite introduction? You already brought up Neil's with the whole, like he did the whole dramatic turnaround. Hold on. Shouldn't have come here. So good.
That lightsaber duel between the two of them was fantastic and stuff like that. That's just like, that's just everybody's. That's just everybody's. That's what we were all doing back in the day.
100%.
Stuff like that.
100%. What did y'all think of all the other introductions?
Yeah, I thought they were really cool. I liked the girls being on the speeder bike. I think that's when we first saw them. That was like, these cool, like mysterious girls. That was cool. I think they did a really good job immediately telling us who these characters were from like the first appearance. I think they did a great job. I loved SM33's introduction. I know this is the second episode, but I thought he was like cool from the moment with the rat coming out of his eye and stuff. I love him. He's my favorite character so far.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I love the introduction of the girls and stuff because, like, Scotty, you were talking about how like the infrastructure is just so like tight and everything, and it's like, like everyone stays in line, but then you've got Fern and KB like along for the ride, and they're just like going between cars and stuff like that, like just barely making it out and stuff, like living kind of the way that Wim feels like he wants to live, kind of like that adventurous, how Wim thinks he is. He wants to be that adventurous person, and Fern actually is, and is like actively just bucking against the like that tight free flowing system and stuff like that. She's like, I want to do my own thing. So,
but like in 49 minutes, it's kind of hard to establish 4 of your main characters so effectively. And like you do it by showing and not like telling, right? So like we knew what Neil was about the second he was prioritizing and talking about his studies, and Wim's looking off into space, looking around like, oh man, and Neil like focus on all of that, and then he gets back home, and his whole family's super happy to see him. And I'm sure you all had friends like that where you're like, damn, must be nice to be him, because then you go back to your parents, or you maybe weren't. Look, there was moments where I was Neil, but it wasn't all the time. But you look at Wim and you kind of see why Wim wants so much more for his life, because he comes home and his dad's not even there. He leaves and his dad's not even there. That's rough. That's rough, for a little kid. He's like in 6th grade,
but I was getting some parental anger at the father. I mean, I understand, what the arc we're taking him, definitely. Yeah. But like, I got some parental anger, especially when like Wim is like asking for a story before he goes, and he said he couldn't. I was like, bro, I was so angry at that man. I was like, stop and go back. Just go back for that kid.
I was like, he's a motherless boy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, as soon as we saw Fern going home, I was like, oh, I know this character archetype, like, and she goes into the house and it's so obviously like way more fancy and well appointed than Wim's, for example. It's like, just by looking at their living spaces, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I was not surprised that the undersecretary was Fern's mother.
Yeah, isn't that great? What a good little moment there.
But honestly, like as soon as Fern started like changing her clothes and running up into like what's basically the Star Wars version of a gated community, I was like, okay, like
Yeah.
We've seen this before. It's just
Mhm.
I just love that use of that trope, you know?
Yeah. Top of her class, mom's all worried about academics and being the next big person in their grade. And like, yeah, I'll talk to that in actually a moment. Joe, I thought I saw your lips moving. Did you want to say something, sweetie?
I was just thinking, like, women Fern are so Luke and Leia coded because Wim is out there, like, thinking about his parents or his, the lack of guidance from his family and looking for more adventure. And then you have Fern, who's this like badass rebel girl who's kind of like a princess in her own way, and who's also incredibly smart and a leader like Fern is. And they're very much fit into those same sort of archetypes.
Yeah, so part of this too is taking those archetypes and looking at it from a different perspective. Like obviously, I'm a big Joseph Campbell guy. I've done video essays on him. I've talked about his books and his research. And there was one thing that most people don't realize when you look at psychology, you got to look at the anthropological point of view of it all. And so I'm not one to like ever be like, you got to read what I wrote, but I wrote a pretty lengthy thread on like the systematic problem of AT-AT, and it all stems back to what we know about the culture as of right now in this show. And I don't know about you. I know all of us are products of I know are you always Canada? Has that been your whole life or no? I don't know.
Yes, I have lived in Canada my whole life.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't know. So I don't know what y'all's education system is like. But I wrote an entire thread about like this is a perfect reflection of our American education system and how problematic it can be. Is it similar based on what you know?
Well, here's the thing. So we don't have things like No Child Left Behind.
Okay.
And our school funding schema is a bit different. People do pay school taxes, but I don't believe it's as localized so you get the effect of, lower income neighborhoods have less tax revenue and therefore they're less well maintained. I mean, it's not a perfect system, but it's much more it's structured so that schools are much more they have a lot more flexibility. They're not as standardized, and so they tend to reflect the communities in which they're situated.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
And like obviously there are certain standards that are to be met, but the standards are based around skills. So it's like, if you want to pass third grade, a child has to have the following skills in reading. They have to have the following, like mathematics and so on and so forth. And so therefore, a lot of the time, the teachers have freedom to design their curricula in a way that will convey those skills, but the actual curriculum can be more sort of freestyle and more relatable to the individual community in which the students live.
Okay, so what I like about what you said there is because I'm not saying that's completely opposite of what we've got in America. There are certain structures in which I work where that is the case. And Jerry, if I'm not mistaken, Eleanor, isn't she technically your daughter? Isn't she technically homeschooled too?
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
So like there are certain things, and I'm not saying like in terms of like that are problematic, but it is a product of the country we live in that certain things are structured the way they are. And I wanted to highlight that. And for those that don't know, all four of us here on Blue Sky, y'all, jump the Twitter train, please. That shit is a nightmare now. No likes. It is designed. It's made for grifters. I haven't deleted it off my phone yet. I'll be honest with y'all because that's where you get perfectly updated news. But other than that, man, it's a freaking nightmare. But yeah, go join Blue Sky if you haven't yet. You don't need to even have an invite code like you used to. Blue Ski. Join the Blue Ski. But I'm saying all this because this show has some really good social commentary. It's not just a nostalgia show. And I love that people are getting the Easter eggs and they're getting the references and they're enjoying it. But I hate when someone condenses a show with so much nuance into nostalgia. It's a little disappointing. I don't know if y'all feel the same exact way because it kind of negates the subtext. because it's not just nostalgia. It's much deeper. And with this I try to summarize this idea best, that like the narrative does focus on childhood and that crushing feeling of becoming an adult. But most importantly, it's the societal aspect of it all. It's the fact that society in here and in real life, not even just fictional society, that all of a sudden you are, when you hit high school age, at least in America, or middle school age, you're expected to know somewhat what you want to do for the rest of your life. We're all products of this. I know Jerry went through a system, a school system that kind of I'm gonna come on now, fucked him now in life, because it was very, dude. I mean, you can admit it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they set
yeah.
you up
No,
pretty
I
well
was
for real life.
Right, right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's just one of those things, where like we and there's a very, and not that religion is a bad thing, but you've got a very religious center to America as well, with the school system and the way people think about schooling. And so I very much am a product of the Southern school system and things like
Sure.
that. I went to Christian private school my whole life.
Yeah.
My parents are not rich. My parents like gave up a shit ton just to
Yeah.
make sure that we went to that kind of thing. And it's one of those things. I mean, it's like you said, it's that system that it's, you kind of come out of there thinking, oh, I'm packaged and ready to go. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do for the rest of the time.
4-year system. That's the problem with this, is that
when you
for you you came out like, I'm gonna marry into this system, I'm gonna have family in this system, and then it's gonna get kind of bleak for a second, but you had an awakening in like 2020, and
Right.
you're like, the system is terrible. This system's gonna ruin me.
Yeah, the system was no longer something I wanted to be a part of and stuff. Much
No.
like these kids and stuff like that. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Joe, what about you? I had never asked you about your past in this way. Did you ever struggle with this? I know probably growing up queer in a probably predominantly straight thing is part of the system.
I mean, no, I had an awful experience with school. I mean, for the first half of it, I'd say, it was not a very happy place for me from probably kindergarten to 8th grade. It was really difficult. And then I went to a private school afterwards, and it got a lot better. But school is awful. And I'm not a father, and I don't have any plans on ever having children. But if I did have children, I would be terrified to send them to school because of the things I experienced, not only from the other kids, but from the people who were supposed to be in charge, who were awful, who did terrible things, who covered their own asses, who lied to my parents right in front of my face. And it's it's a large portion of the reason I have trouble trusting people in general, is because of the things I experienced from people in charge, from adults in schools. So,
of course. See, look, that's my thing too, and I wanted to kind of end on this note so we can get to more lighter stuff. But like, I have the privilege of teaching kids. I teach middle school kids 4th through 8th grade at a private school. Fine, great. I don't teach a core curriculum anymore. I used to teach science. I taught that for 4 years. Now I'm essentially a STEM teacher, which allows me to do broadcasting, engineering, all the things that come with being a technology person and doing that. And I wrote in the thread, like, I have to be the oppressor sometimes, and it really is not fun. I have to address and give them the standardized tests. I have to give them the pseudo ACT that we have to give. And like, I see kids crying, and I can't even comfort them because the system won't allow you to. They said you cannot have any intervention. You administer the test, you monitor and make sure they're not doing anything else they shouldn't be doing. And like, of course, once those things are over, I can be my true self again, and the kids can be their true selves again. And I hate that this show, and no, I love that this show is bringing that to light, but I hate to see the flip side of my career where like I have to become a droid, when you don't need to be a droid. Like, but there's moments where I'm standing up there and I'm like, in order to move on, click the arrow, please, and make sure and I know you remember this phrase, make sure your mark is complete and dark. So like when you turn that stupid paper in, the machine that scores you on your future curriculums is proving to be accurate in your life. Like, it's so evil, it's it's so against the pedagogy that we're learning and the pedagogy that I teach, that creativity is suppressed there. And these kids, and nothing wrong with analysts, nothing wrong with people that work in the financial world, but the whole thing is like, I want to be an algorithmic analyst. Like, that sounds terrible. That sounds like a fucking nightmare. I would hate
those
that.
all gave me headaches. Every
my
single, like,
God.
oh, we need plenty of analysts. Like, I'm sure we do.
But
Absolutely, we do.
But like there's a thing where you suppress the dreamer, and Wim's dad is been suppressed. I mean, you can tell. I've got to work. I got to be at work late, kid. I and he goes, when he goes and picks up his son, obviously makes a mistake. He's obviously frustrated. I would be too, but he doesn't even say like, what did you do? He says, your clothes are dirty. I've got to go back to work. And I'm like, oh man, like, no, that's part of the problem. I don't know. I'm gonna keep going off on this. We got to talk about happy stuff, y'all.
Go good. I love
God.
I love how just on his dad. I love at the beginning we have the big ET vibes where like it's the absent parent latchkey kid relationship where he's leaving. Here's your lunch money. Here's your food money for the week.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really hitting on some nostalgia and stuff like that of stuff that ways that we fucked up kids back in the 80s and 90s and stuff.
You're responsible. Here's $20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make sure you don't order too much pizza. Yeah, I don't know. That first episode, though, the part that brought me the most joy is, of course, the idea of them finding the Jedi Temple, and they're digging into it, and they're trying to break into it, and they're all freaked out, they're all scared, and there was some really good beats in that one. Not just thematic beats. I mean, like musical beats. Like there actually was some pretty awesome like soundscape in this that, usually you watch these Star Wars shows and the music doesn't hit you to the second watch. I don't know about y'all. That usually happens. It's never the first watch. I don't know about y'all, but this one was the first time it was like, what was that? Anyone's favorite musical moments?
I don't know if I had any favorite musical moments, but I was listening to the music. I think because they said someone, I think I read something maybe on Blue Sky or something about who the guy who orchestrated it. Was that the right word?
Mick.
And I was like listening to it because I was like, I want to know if it's like it sounds Star Warsy, and it did. It sounded very unique, but it still had a foot in Star Wars, like very classical Star Wars music.
Yeah.
So I was listening out for it from the very first.
Oh, he's straight up ripped some leitmotifs off of
uh-huh.
John Williams.
Absolutely. I was hearing some like leitmotifs from Return of the Jedi and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. No, I was saying specifically there was one moment when in the second episode when John Silvo is his name? Sorry, lifts the key off the wall. Perhaps maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. But you hear a little bit of that Force theme song, and I was just like, so is this actually the Force? Because I'm hearing the Force theme. I don't know, but it's not really the Force theme. So I'm like, is it really? So we'll see. I don't know, but it was cool to hear that.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, there was that moment where God, I forgot exactly where that they show when they pull into the pirate port. And it had this like, it's the same exact texture from Rogue One when they show the band of Saw Gerrera's crew, and that was great. That was something I noticed the first off the bat. I'm like, oh, they're doing the Jedi stuff here. Okay, man.
So this is the same time as Mando. Are we going to see that seaweed face pirate again?
I think Gorian Shard is dead at this point.
Yeah,
because
I really liked him. I wanted to see more of him. I was sad that he died right away. I was like, great character and a great design. Yeah, I really wanted to see more of him.
He's
I love
seaweed
Gorian
chips now.
Shard.
Yeah.
Like because I think Vane is his name. Vane was part of his crew, and then when all that shit went down, he left and joined Sexy Wolf Guy's crew.
Yeah, he is.
Brutus.
Yeah. Well, it was Silvo first. He was with
Silvo
first.
Silvo.
Then we went to Brutus.
Yes,
who is a king in and of himself.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one thing this show is not scared to do. Thank God. I loved Andor. I'm not trying to bitch about Andor, but you didn't see that many aliens except for those weird fishing aliens on the Narkina 5 planet. But like this show, and of course Ahsoka has, and Acolyte has as well. This show has given us aliens. A main character being an alien. This has been a long dream of mine. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I think Jerry and I talked about this years ago. We need a main character as an alien or a droid.
And a weird alien too, like not like anything like, and it's a little elephant boy now, which is fantastic. I love it.
So cool, so cute. What did y'all? Okay, so references. What did y'all think of the holiday special moment? Did anyone else freak out?
It was so good.
I was so surprised that it happened. I was like, oh, look at these guys.
I just love how dramatic they are. They like come and they're like.
What's the implication of them watching that though? Like, man,
I don't know.
Oh, so someone in the chat earlier was saying that they love how it's basically it's the equivalent of like sensory videos for like children.
Yes.
Oh my God, they're like
it is.
Oh my God, so like it's like those videos of like the little lights like shining and like
yeah.
lights. Oh yeah, dude,
it's the Miss Rachel of the Star Wars galaxy.
Yes.
So yeah.
Oh, and they're so locked in, and Wim climbs the side of the house, which is classic. That is, I mean, I remember climbing friends' fences when I was in middle school. Like, just climb in, and he's taking a bath. Man, that bath scene was so cute.
I know.
Oh my God, that he's the kind of kid that would take a bath, though. You can
straight up,
yeah.
Really.
I have to say, I'm a Neil. I was that goofy kid who would still be tagging along and stuff like that, but I was more like, like, why? Yeah.
Okay, so who is everyone? That's a great question. So Jerry, you're Neil. That's it.
I feel like I'm Neil, and everyone else can be Neil if they want to. We can all be. We're all a little bit Neil. I just gotta say, we're all a little bit Neil.
100% Wim. Looking out the window, not doing well in school.
That's why I
never skip school, but like that is me to a T. Just like getting myself in trouble for fun. I don't know. Yeah. I love doing that. I love being in the principal's office. Joe, who are you?
I don't know. I think I was probably like Fern because I was very good at school, but I had a real problem with authority.
Yeah. Any KBs here? And were you a KB? No.
Oh heavens, no! I'm not smart enough for that. I'm SM33.
I like it. You kick the shit out of some people who are messing with those kids. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I will cut you. And I'll cut you. I can pilot a ship. Yeah. And a crazy rat runs my brain.
How about this?
Honestly, yeah.
We'll just go into the second episode because the second episode had everything I've ever wanted in a Star Wars. And let me agree with y'all. And this is nothing against.
Listen. Go ahead, Scotty. Go ahead.
I was like, this is nothing against Acolyte or any of the shows that kind of have a more rushed schedule. This show was delayed 1.5 years because of the strikes, and so it had way more time to sit on the visual effects.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be real with y'all. This is the best looking Star Wars show.
It looked amazing.
Hands down.
Yeah.
It looked movie quality.
Yes. The shot where they pull in and it's that side and they're going past the turrets that are pointing the guns at the ship. I'm like, dude, if I was in a theater right now, I feel like I'm watching, episode 9 or something. Like it was just
something like that.
So huge for our TV.
There wasn't even like a moment where my eye was like, oh, that looks a little corny. You know what I mean? Which I do have those moments with most of the shows. This one, the entire time, it looked incredible.
Yeah. 100%. I'm
flawless.
Completely on board with that.
I would wait another year for other shows to look that good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They should.
I agree.
Yeah. Stop rushing artists for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And making them work crazy hours and all that kind of stuff too. But
100%.
The time they need to
but give it that time to breathe too. Yeah.
I just love what that second episode stood for too. The idea of crossing the threshold. Like, okay, we're here now, and At-Aten apparently is this hidden planet, and even the droid's like, well, we'll just go back to where we were before. He's like, all right, Captain. Oh man, how great was that? Like the whole he's gonna throw the little dude out the airlock, Wim out the airlock, and she was such a badass, man.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
God bless.
So fucking good. She was so quick on her feet with that. all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
So good. Reminded me of my wife. It was like terrifying. I told Kate, that is you to a T. Like, well, I'm the captain now, and you're like, and you
There's
see him
some
sit there
Captain
and
Phillips
think.
up in here. Yeah,
Exactly. You see his little robot brain think, and he's like, "Okay, Captain," you know?
yeah. It's like that makes sense in the pirate code.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you say? And he's like, "I want to be a captain," and he goes, "You can challenge him to the death or whatever." Oh man, the captain vibe. I mean, sorry, the pirate vibes are just off the chain.
So
in the best
they're
way
so
possible. But they work. They don't feel like you're shoving it into Star Wars. It feels super natural into the Star Wars flow of things. And like, I don't know, to me, it works on every level. I'm sure some people are maybe turned off a little bit, but I don't see that at all for me personally.
I think you have to kind of suspend your disbelief. Like I feel like some of the people that are complaining, like, like about the suburbs and whatnot, it's like they're not willing to just give themselves over to the story, because as you said, it's like there's a reason that visual choice was made. You have to like critically analyze what is in front of you, because every element was a conscious artistic choice.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, like those suburbs look weird because they want you to feel weird about it.
Yes.
That's the reason it's weird.
It's not natural for Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
There's something up, and you just let yourself enjoy the story and see where it goes.
Like the moment where, and I'm gonna go back to for 1 second, where Wendell's like, "You left the garage door open." I'm like, well, it doesn't seem like it's gonna be a problem. Like, yeah, like I don't know, like that. It doesn't seem like the society that would have those kind of problems, or like no one's gonna take something from your garage when your car can turn into it. Like I don't know. That was interesting.
Well, he doesn't want Mrs. Ick's little frog dog to get in there and take a shit, because you see that thing can shit like a motherfucker. So.
Yeah. Look, and that's something true. Eli says every reason I've heard of someone disliking Star Trek so far said more about the person criticizing than about the show itself. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a different show, and I think it'll continue to push boundaries in that way. And the second episode certainly did. We obviously got the first, Star Wars like brothel or strip club in Andor.
Oh
but
man,
like this,
that
honestly,
was the one straight up from Beetlejuice, is what it looked like.
Yes. But I will say they did it in a tasteful way here, of like the kids are standing so far away from it, you can't really tell what's going on. And then that lady, I mean, the feline is beautiful woman, by the way.
The prostitute with a heart of gold in every galaxy. Come on.
Yes,
everywhere. I love the stereotype, and I love that I love the character. I mean, and I love that she pulled them aside immediately and was like, "Your kids, you don't need to be here. How can I get you out of here? Where'd you come from?"
Yep,
that was incredible. I loved that.
So good.
She was so sexy. I'm just gonna be real with you. She is a beautiful woman. God damn. I was like, whoa.
Hell
like,
yeah.
And Alden and I were texting about it. He's like, they just like drop like the prettiest women in this show so casually. You know what I mean? Just like boom, there you go. And like Star Wars is so good about that. Like I was like, wow. I got and then like there was also an aspect of like holy shit, they are at a pirate area. This is not safe for kids. And like this is very real.
Like she noticed right away. She's like, what are children doing here?
Yes. And the part where they get off the little what do they call it? They called it something. The thing that was driven by the teak. The dinghy. The dinghy. Yes,
the dinghy.
That was a teak. That was a teak species. For those that don't know, look, and I'll pull the graphic up again. But it made me kind of sad because I couldn't recognize it at first, because it's kind of like a hairless teak. It's like
it's got a little bit of mange, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Teak.
Mange teak.
Teak pattern baldness. Yeah.
A little bit more sickly, that what are you gonna say, Joe?
It could have just been a hairless variety, like a Sphinx cat,
Yeah.
Maybe he cut his hair like that, and you are making fun of, like, for God's sakes, don't make fun of him.
He has male pattern baldness.
Of course, my boy shows up. My boy, the whole reason we're here. The fact that we found Fuzzball, man. Does anyone have a relationship with Captain EO unlike Jerry and I? Does anyone else have that here?
Well, I didn't get to experience it, but as you all know, I'm a dance nerd.
Yep.
And so I was looking into the choreography, like who the choreographers were.
Mhm.
And I noticed a lot of the choreography was like very derivative of Thriller. Obviously, you can
Yeah.
tell, like,
Right.
and that was choreographed. Thriller was choreographed by Michael Peters, like legendary Michael Peters, who's no longer with us. But Captain EO was credited to Michael Hornaday.
Okay.
Sorry, Jeff Hornaday. Sorry. And so I was like, what is Jeff Hornaday doing, like ripping off Michael Peters? But it also credited Michael with some of the choreo. So I'm wondering if maybe that was his contribution.
Look, I'm going to go crazy right here because I'm going to show this on the screen too. Hold on. But the fact that you bring all this up, I think it does bring in a very interesting point about the overall fuzzball of it, this whole thing. I know it's so silly, and this may sound like a complete nut job theory, but like you don't make that prosthetic, that little fuzzball character to use it once. Because that's a practical effect. That right there is, except for the wings, obviously, but the face of that creature, the hands, that's a full-on practical effect. And I'm gonna play into this theory because it's something that's kind of getting me off right now. Okay, I'll admit it. I've been super excited whenever that was dropped, and I'm trying to go to the data bank right now on Star Wars' website. And weirdly enough, under Skeleton Crew, they have an entire page for Fuzzball, which I think is actually really interesting because it doesn't address Fuzzball as a species, which we see more of. I don't know if y'all noticed that there was like 6 Fuzzballs.
Yeah.
That was kind of nice for me. I felt a little validated. I thought we'd just get one Fuzzball and it'd be like, oh, okay. So there's obviously more of this creature out there, and we know Fuzzball is sentient. So we know Fuzzball is aware. And actually, I'm going to show it on the screen right now. For some reason, the image won't load, but it says this in the databank entry. Fuzzball is a fluttering creature with tufts of brightly colored orange fur and 2 delicate wings. In the era of the New Republic, he finds himself trapped in a cage at the pirate starport Borgo. Okay. The fact that they use, the fact that they mentioned that he finds himself here. There's something to this. I think it's much deeper. I don't think it's just a reference. I don't know what y'all think. Do y'all think it's just a reference? Am I going too crazy? He has a whole databank entry. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I think spin-off series.
Oh my god.
Spin-off series, Fuzzball Adventures.
Oh my god.
Hey, I know who they can get to helm that.
I think that's great. I also think he's probably going to kill Brutus and become the new captain.
Could you imagine?
There's so much story to be told.
Wait, if that's how Captain EO becomes Captain EO, he like saves the. Oh, that's actually not that crazy. I have a theory in my video. That they do recreate Michael Jackson with CGI. I'm not kidding. I firmly believe it could happen. I know it sounds nuts, but like that would be such a cool drop, and they would get like the Jackson like Foundation and everyone involved, and like Michael Jackson finally being in Star Wars, or like alluded to or recast Captain EO because George did write the story. Like it is technically part of his IP, even though Francis Coppola directed it. Like I don't know, it gets me excited. And the fact that we got him so soon, and I don't know, in the context of the scene, it was really kind of awesome. Of like, these kids are trapped, and this person is also trapped. This creature, Fuzzball, is trapped as well, and they liberate Fuzzball in some capacity. I don't know. I think there's something kind of beautiful to that. And you don't know. We're still on that planet at the end of the episode. He could show back up. Chat, am I going crazy? Anyone else want to tell me? Am I going crazy?
Are they eating those Fuzzballs? Those poor babies.
Oh, don't say that. No, they're so
maybe. I don't know.
Eli brought up that Eric Elliott from Honest to Claude. Shout out Eric. He had to leave, but I was on his show last week and I had a wonderful time. Proposed that The Weeknd take the place of Michael Jackson as Captain EO. The only thing is, can The Weeknd dance?
I think could you imagine that in a Star Wars show? I think people would lose their freaking minds, a full dance sequence. But I would love that. I would welcome that so quickly. Just could you imagine?
You have a new segment in the intro or the outro.
Oh, it's over. Yeah, we'd have to do a dance thing. We'd have to do a whole dance show.
Exactly. No, I love the idea of
Yeah.
that recasting and stuff like that. I think that would be brilliant.
It's
But yeah,
solid.
I mean, I definitely think that we're getting like, I mean, you've got Neil is almost Hooter-esque, you know.
Yes.
His whole family and all that kind of stuff, you know, and
Major Domo, just like
Major Domo, yeah. We've basically got all the characters in like just these, so maybe we're gonna get homages to them, and with things they can pull out like Fuzzball. We're just gonna, you know, they're gonna just straight up just put them in, you know. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It remains to be seen what all is gonna fully come through. But
there's so many options. Look, we've got Michael, Fuzzball, Teak. We've got Zeke's. We've got our boy right there, the green guy, the bottom left. We've got my favorite. We've got Sunny Eclipse. We've got Rex, who showed up. I predicted that accurately. He's piloting a tram. We've got the whole Captain EO crew. We've got Tony Solaroni. We've got Seiko, who is, I mean, this sounds like a crazy man's dream. This sounds like a freaking crazy man's dream because it is.
You sound like you're just saying sounds. Not even
Tony Solaroni, Seiko, the holiday special circus team. No,
well, is Tony Silveroni? Is he the real Captain Silvo?
Well, look at Tony Solaroni. He looks just like Jar Jar. He's been around since the 90s. He predates Jar Jar Binks, 95. So, I mean, there's something to be said there. Look at him, top right. Tony Solaroni, man. He just makes pizza all day. You just don't know what they could pull up this rabbit hat of Star Wars and Disney IP now, because they can. They can. Oh, look, see, I know we've got friends that got screeners, and I'm this is my also suspicion. Alex and Molly asked us to be on next week's show. So I'm just saying they got screeners too. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying there could be something there. Any other highlights from the second episode that y'all wanted to bring in? Anything that was like just perfect
I loved
flavor?
SM33 the entire time. I was just into his character. I thought he was so cool, so funny, just so unique, such a like cool droid character. Such a unique droid. I'm so excited. I hope he comes back.
Yeah, they have to resurrect him.
He
needs
has to come back.
resurrection.
I love him. I don't want him to
I know.
die. Stop killing off my favorite characters.
I feel like I love that he's like sort of like the rat is like a
Part of him?
symbiont. Like they have this like symbiosis happening.
Yeah.
It's
I
great.
feel like the rat might be symbolic of chlamydia. Because back in the day when pirates would be out and about in brothels,
It's
they would
true.
use their mind to chlamydia, and the rat, rat's gonna be named Chlamydia or something.
There's actually an entire plot point in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which is the pirate one, where you have to go and get medicine because like everyone has gonorrhea or whatever.
Oh wow!
If you don't get those things cured fast enough, that you start losing some marbles. So,
Yeah. Oh no, it was syphilis, right? Yeah,
Syphilis,
everyone had
syphilis.
syphilis. And syphilis
yeah.
is the one that makes you lose your marbles.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Chlamydia. Yeah, that's right.
Sid Phyllis.
Sid Phyllis is so good. You know what's funny too, right? Like the whole pirate moment of like they pull the money out and they're like, "What is this?" Like I want to talk to one thing about prosthetic makeup and all that, but you know they did Vane in Mando season 3 and it looked good. It looked really good. The movement of the face looked amazing. This, however, I mean, I was so drawn in. I couldn't believe I was looking at people in masks. Like it is the technology from like, you know, something like, you know, I'm trying to think of a character from The Force Awakens, but like even that,
Like
it looks
Baba
good.
Joe.
Baba
Yeah.
Joe or Unkar Plutt a little bit. Like it looks good, but this is just, I mean, my God, like the way Vane like kind of looks around, like the way the eyebrows even do like the just subtle shift when he's like, Mad Atten. He's like, they look around, what the hell are you talking? Like I love that beat, and the kids have no idea, you know, and the credits being so bright and shiny is so nice to see too. So, okay, Are y'all thinking it's Old Republic, or this has been a debate? Are we thinking it's Galactic Republic, or is it Old Republic? Because this is where I'm seeing some things tossed back and forth here that I'm kind of confused about.
That pirate ship is pretty old.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes.
It's been buried for a long time, had trees growing on top of it. So
that's a long time. Unless it was intentionally buried. We don't know. They might have crash landed and someone's like, oh shit, we got to bury this thing and make it look natural. I mean, I don't know, man. Are we thinking this is like pre Galactic Senate almost? Are we thinking this is like Old Republic, like Revan Old Republic? Or are we thinking this is somewhere High Republic? I just don't know.
I feel like there's no evidence yet for me to make a guess on.
Yeah, that's okay.
No.
The only thing I would say is just that the mention of the great work makes me think High Republic, just because that is such a huge thing in the High Republic era.
Yeah. And we also have to think about in context of the show. Like, I mean, for us, like Old Republic is like 1,000 years ago. But when they say like Old Republic credits, they could mean prior to
exactly
Yavin, right?
Yeah,
not Old Republic, just Old Republic.
Yes, exactly.
See, like Galactic Republic.
Right.
Yeah. So not
the new one is the New Republic. So it's like it's not the New Republic, it's the Old Republic. Yeah.
Exactly.
But
it makes
to be
logical
untouched.
sense.
To be untouched by the Empire or be a product of the Empire and we don't even know it could be really interesting.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I really think that this is like a remnant.
Yeah, like maybe it was an experiment by the.
So
exactly.
I don't want to talk poorly about Acolyte, but a lot of what Acolyte's mystery box was about what went down on what was the name of the planet? I've already forgot. Bryndock. What went down? What that was the whole. Every episode was teetering on what went down on Bryndock. I like that this is almost an inverses. It's not what went down here. It's what is happening here. Like what concurrently, what is happening here? What happened in the past is important, but why is this still a mystery? And why are they still living in this very utopian society? I can't wait to see that unfold. And I wanted to bring this up too. This is a great thing. We have not talked about Jaleel White being in this show. Oh my God. The voice. And like, I've always thought Jaleel White was cool. I always like, what they call Cool Urkel? What do they call it?
Stefan, right?
Stefan, yeah.
Like,
my family spent many a Friday night around the television watching TV.
Yes. But like, I just love that that Jaleel White can be in this and have it not be like, it's Steve Urkel. No, it's kind of badass. He's got the mod thing going on,
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
He looks great.
He looks great. Very handsome.
Does everyone have a favorite pirate yet? Like a favorite weirdo pirite?
I mean,
just any favorite weirdos in general, honestly, from
I'm
Borgo?
very attracted to Brutus.
Brutus, one of my
Very
faves.
attracted to Brutus.
I want to be his best friend. I love the
Physically.
Wolfman.
Sexually, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not super into Brutus. I mean, because like I'm a Gorian Shard girl. I'm sorry. Like I have to know what his junk is like. I just have to.
Yes.
So he kind of already has
Venus
in my heart.
flytrap, I feel like.
One can only hope. That sounds fun.
It's pretty fun.
But yeah, out of the weirdos on this show, I like SM33. I mean, Smee is the one for me. He's a great pirate.
I hope they call him
Snaggletooth.
straight up Smee sometime. I hope someone
They
just
have
straight
to.
up calls him Smee. I would love
Yeah.
that.
So cute.
Well, it's cool too, because you had to think if Smee had been buried, he was not technically a part of this pirate gang. So this must have been a pirate gang from a long time ago, the same
A
outpost.
long time.
So like I think it's interesting to like even reflect on that. Like the fact that
pirate
was
gang was still on the ship. They were just dead.
yeah, exactly. You're right, beautiful.
They were all still there. They were dead.
So
how
like
great is, by the way, how like I love the line too of SM33. The when they say of Borgo you'll sleep well in a soft bed or a shallow grave.
Yeah.
There's so many good pirate
So
lines
good.
from him.
I know.
Oh man.
So good.
oh, it's awesome. And so like you have the whole point of this show so far. We all were told about Jude Law, and like the first episode not having him besides Silvo, quote unquote, which too I'm sure is him.
It's
Like even though it was like the swagger, he had like the same Jude Law height and everything, you know.
It sounded like him still.
Yeah,
The accent was like.
Yeah, they didn't even like. I know, and he had a mask on. They could have distorted his voice. Like, come on, you guys.
Jude Law, I think someone said it best. It might have even been Force Center. I was listening to their show, but they talked about like he has a twinkle in his eye. Like he just has that twinkle. You know what I mean? And like the moment at the end where they finally get trapped and they're stuck and they're gonna throw them in the hole or whatever they called it. And you know, I was like, this is where they introduce him. Obviously, it has to be right here. He's the one that gets him out, and I love the energy of that whole scene. They're like losing their mind. They're like, what are we gonna do? You know, we can get the little weird chlamydia guy, little chlamydia syphilis. Yeah.
Well, Sid.
So they get him to get the keys, and it has the whole like Pirates of the Caribbean, like, you know, reaching their hand out, getting the dog to get the key moment, and like this is great. This is beautiful. And then of course they hear this dark voice from the back.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh shit.
But the thing is, if he could have done that the whole time, why did he wait until everyone was locked in the
That's what I'm thinking too, Em. I am
know.
too sitting there going like, you could have gotten the key the whole time. Why
Yeah.
are you waiting for these children to show up?
He was
There
just
is
waiting
something
for a
in
new
play.
crew.
Yeah, there's
A
something.
skeleton crew. Oh, the show.
Oh, it's the name.
It's the name.
There's skeletons on the ship.
Wait, they literally are a skeleton crew. Wow.
So beautiful. No, but that whole moment too of them debating what to do, and of course the second that Wim takes his money out, that's when our boy John Nanawood in the back is like, oh, okay, this'll go pretty far for me. Yeah, and that was very DJ-esque. Great point, Eli. God bless. Just like the Last Jedi, man. It was perfect. Of like, he's been there the whole time. He's had the way to break out the whole time, but he chooses not to. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Well, I mean, you know, DJ was getting a bed and meals for free, right? So
Yeah, he didn't go anywhere. Absolutely.
Nah, staying at Paradise, staying at a casino
Square.
planet can't be too bad, right? But no, how did everyone feel about that last moment? It's kind of nice the show ends on really good beats. You know, Acolyte kind of ended on high notes, and you were like, damn, I gotta wait a week. This is actually ending on a very good story. Like, all right, let's end here. Let's, you know, flow to the next one.
I was fairly satisfied, although I was like, I really wanted the next one because it was just so good. It was so good. So there's too much, like, if I don't see like you know, a weirdo in a Star Wars show too much, like I have to like take a smelling salt to wake myself back up. I'm joking. But just the fact that this was like feeding all the weird, and it wasn't just Rhodians or like,
God,
you know,
it's so true.
That's like one of the things that like I love, you know, all those classic species and stuff, but like I'm loving like getting back to like having some more weirdos and more weird things and stuff like that. So
this brings more energy. Did anyone else like that entrance, that ending of the whole episode? I loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was beautiful. It made me want more. I immediately was like, why didn't he just get the key for himself? But maybe he needs small hands to fit into something. I don't know. Maybe it's a plant that requires a small little guy to crawl in somewhere. I don't know. We'll see next episode.
Well, we have seen the thing where the laser goes by and it's just above the kid's head. So he's like, oh, I gotta get I know that trap's in there, so I need people who are at least 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I
Man,
can't wait to see where this goes. He's gonna be a little trickster, I'm sure of it. And a thorn in these kids' side, so I think it'll be cool.
I can't wait. I'm so glad y'all both could join us and hang out for this whole entire discussion. This first 2 episodes. I mean, it's kind of hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. When we do these discussions, it's hard to cover 2 episodes of stuff. I mean, these things are very heavy, and I did not think, and I said it earlier, there was going to be that much nuance in this show, and that's on me. I just didn't think they were going to have that much subtext, and I'm very impressed that within these first 2 episodes, they're setting up so much that can take a back burner too. Like you can do really good parallel storytelling with this. You can do the parents at home freaking out storytelling now with the kids on an adventure storytelling effectively. It won't be as shoehorned in as some movies, you know? Like I don't think in the Goonies they ever cut back to the parents, not even once. E.T. they do it a handful of times. Stranger Things they do it all the time. But it's because if it's done compellingly, like it'd be cool to see the adults figure stuff out on their really messed up world, while the kids kind of can take a break from the messed up world. They don't even know the world's messed up. They don't even know that shit's going on there. That's kind of suspicious. So I don't know. I'm pumped for the next 6 weeks that we get. It's a blessing. We get it through Christmas and New Year's. Are you kidding me? That's so nice. We've never had that before. Never had
And Hanukkah.
And
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah. And no, not Martin Luther King Day. Is it? I think it ends. Is it right after? Let me see. What Monday is that? Let me look. Hold on. MLK Day is Monday the 20th. No, that's Inauguration Day too. That's not gonna be fun.
We're gonna need something good to look forward to.
Well, you gotta have this, yeah. This
Oh.
and Creature
That's
Commandos is
gonna
gonna keep
suck.
me like afloat. I think
That's gonna suck. We're gonna have the finale of this beautiful show, and then next week we're gonna get a shitty new president.
Let's just not, not even think about it right now. We're just gonna think about.
Yeah, that's your sign. Just enjoy this bliss. Just enjoy these next 6 weeks. Just enjoy it. But no, I love you all so much. I want to know where my wonderful friends here and everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Can find the wonderful M. What do you got going on? Anything cool going on, sister?
Yeah, so I used to be on Twitter. I will never call it the other thing. As Hetzleia. And now I've just moved over to Blue Sky. So I'm minimally active on Twitter, but you're going to mostly just see me on Blue Sky. So if you'd like to find me, HUTTSLEIA, ship who you want. All ships are valid.
I love you, M. God. Oh, I love that. That makes me miss Pink Milk. That makes me miss the whole crew. But
I know. They're all wonderful. Track
love
them
it.
down. See what they're up to.
every one of them. Chase, Mark, all of them. Yeah. Brian. Joe, besides plugging me and Jerry and possibly Ian, I want to know your thoughts. How are you? What's going on with you?
Nothing.
Okay, glad we had you on, Joe.
Joe is just busy. Look. Okay, look at this man. Look, he's a dream daddy right now. Like, look
For
at
real.
this. The hair, flawless. The arms, gorgeous. Look at this salt and pepper beard he has going on. It's so distinguished.
God bless.
You want a piece of this?
We should have us on at all times, I think, and we could just talk about me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will. I'll wax poetic to your beauty for like as long as you want.
That's all I really want from people. And not enough people do it.
Well, I'm all about giving the people what they want.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I'm at Organa on all social media. You can find me anywhere. I don't really do much, but I have fun.
He's good at doing me. That's
Being
all
straight.
that matters. Look at him. No, it's so funny. Like I said earlier, if Joe just does one of these, I take a screenshot of it, it'll go viral tomorrow, which is a blessing.
Yeah, I was
Joe's
gonna say
got
we
that
will.
power.
We'll have somebody
Sexual
like
power.
And that's sex sells. That's all that matters.
It's all that matters. To hype up what we got going on next week. And I feel bad. I don't mean to I mean, Jerry knows this, but our audience doesn't know this. But I'm a huge Daft Punk fan, y'all. And I know some of y'all do know this. And they're having a limited release next Thursday of one of their movies from 2003. So I'm missing a Bombad cast to see a Daft Punk movie. I'm seeing 2 screenings of it, and I might try to squeeze a third in. So I'm seeing it at 7, seeing it again at 9:30, and if they do another one at like 11, I'm gonna stay and see it again. It's my favorite album of all time. So
your wife is a saint.
no, she's going to one screening, then she's leaving. Okay, hold on, and then my cousin and my other cousin Troy and Chandler, they're gonna come to the next screening. And then I may just do the solo one if there is a third one by myself. And
Kim is correct. Katie is the best.
A great time, Scotty. We support you in your passions.
Thank you.
They might be.
Oh, Joe, I would give you a little handy if you were in there with me, buddy. I promise you that much.
Maybe I'll show up.
Anyway, a few things. We're doing this every Thursday. Skeleton Crew. We've got some guests lined up. Next Wednesday, we're going to be on Alex Damon and Molly Damon's Star Wars Explained channel. We'll be talking about the 3rd episode, which hopefully features my boy Fuzzball more. And discussing it on their show, which is Good Eyes on Us. And thank you everyone who came tonight. We love seeing new people in the chat. This is the kind of thing that makes me super excited. We had the privilege of being on Force Center a few weeks ago, and that's really helped our numbers and other things dealing with, being a part of this community. Blue Sky, like I said, please, all of us are on there. It is so much better than Twitter. I still see some old people yelling on Twitter. I'm like, oh, just get off of it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I love you. It's not worth it. You're better than that. And
Speaking of Fuzzball.
Speaking of Fuzzball, if anyone cares or is still hanging out with us, go watch my video essay. It's very comprehensive.
It
talks about Fuzzball and why they can make a bigger impact in the world. But that being said, it's been a minute. Joe did this all during the Acolyte. I got to hear a good Stay Bombad from my beautiful friend M.
Stay Bombad.
Oh, I love you. See y'all next week. Bye.
Did you say impossible? Pasquale? Only kidding, Chucky. I've changed my tune because I finally thought of a possible dream that we can all share.
What is it?
Pasquale?
It's a dream about a world when nobody is poor or sick or hungry.
Oh, now that's a dream we can make come true.
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right.
As I point up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind.
I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top,
and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the wind, you know, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer.
If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
Oh yeah,
I'm asking him to change his ways.
come on, change. No message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Oh yeah, I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
Time for us to take a break, but we wouldn't dream of being gone for long. See you in a little bit.